Greetings, viewer. Now, this is a list that I've wanted to do for quite a while now, but it's just been kind of busy trying to get it done. But anyway, what I've decided to do was do a list of my top 10 favorite final bosses in video games. One rule, I had to have played the boss, so bosses that I probably would like will not be on the list. Anyway, with that out of the way, let's start. Andross from Star Fox 64. Now this fight in and of itself doesn't seem that spectacular, but that's kind of what I like about it. It's a very simple boss fight which actually has multiple layers to it when you start beating him. First, you take out his hands, which is pretty simple, then you shoot at him until this happens. And then you spend the rest of the time trying to shoot his eyes, and then after that, you go after the back of his brain. Now the reason this is only at number 10 is because, well, trying to shoot that back part of the brain can get, well, obnoxious. The main reason for that is that, well, you have this happen. So, while trying to avoid that as much as you can, more often than not, the fight looks like, well, this. Other than that, it's a really fun boss fight, and it holds a solid number 10 on this list.
If I go down, I'm taking you with me.
Dracula from Castlevania 4. Now, when it comes to Castlevania, this is probably my favorite game in the series, and one of the best parts of it is this boss fight. Now, unlike a lot of the other ones, this one isn't exactly all that hard. I mean, yeah, there's the traditional attacks such as the fireballs, and there's even an attack where flame things come up, but one thing that makes it easier are the chickens that you get, but what makes it on this list is this moment. Not much to say about this boss, but it's just a fun, simple final boss. Ganon from The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. Now, I haven't played too many Zelda games, and I've only finished one, but with that being said, the boss fight for Ganon is still amazing. The boss fight, this is pretty much one of my ideal boss fights for a game like this. You versus a giant creature. Now, one big problem I have with this boss fight, which is what keeps it from getting any higher, is the lighting. As you can see, it's kind of hard to see. And sometimes when you go and flip around Ganon, well, you can still have a hard time seeing when you go and hit his tail. But other than that, this is actually a really solid boss fight. Not much else to say except it's a great final boss for a really good game. Bowser from Super Mario 64. Super Mario 64 is without a doubt one of my favorite video games. And with that, it also has one of my favorite final bosses. Now, this is one of those weird type of ones that I really like, but I have a hard time exactly saying why I like it. The main reason for that is because, well, the fight itself is not really all that complex. It's pretty much the other Bowser fights, except he has 2 more hits. Though to be fair, those fights are pretty decent. But I think one thing that really makes this one great is its music. This has one of the best final boss soundtracks ever. King K. Rool from Donkey Kong Country. Now, this is one of the earliest boss fights I remember. Donkey Kong Country was the first game I ever remember playing, so I have something of a bias towards this one. But, even then, I still find this is a wonderful boss fight. It's a bit more of an endurance test than anything else, but the boss fight in and of itself is pretty fun, and it has some really great music. And who else could forget the famous Fake Out? This is one of those really nostalgic boss battles for me, and I'm pretty sure it's great for many other people. A great way to end a great game. The Death Egg Robot from Sonic 2. First off, the elephant in the room. Yes, I know there's no color. It's a problem with my capture card, and it was one of the reasons why I was debating on even making this list at this time, but you can see which decision won out. Anyway, with that being said, Sonic 2 is probably my favorite of the classic Sonic games, and, much like many things on this list, it has my favorite final boss. Unlike the other ones, which feel unlike the one from Sonic 1, for example, which is just kind of randomly batting against something and just hoping that he's in it, or Sonic 3, where the end is just ramming into everything. This one requires a little bit more strategy, but the boss is also very creative in and of itself. In addition to that, it has some pretty good music to it. There's not too much to say, except it's a pretty challenging boss fight, and it has some wonderful music, and it's a really good end to the game.